Derrick Lassic, I hope you're having a great summer. Welcome back to T-Town.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and looking forward to the conversation. We've been today. It's an off-season topic. We're about 9 days away from camp, and we're going through with callers calling in with their favorite Alabama game, and that 1992 Alabama-Miami game is holding right now as the favorite game of most Alabama fans that have called in today.
Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense because that determines who was the national champion. But I think the most exciting game of that season was the SEC championship game. That game went back and forth, and Antonio made a heck of a play, anticipated that hitch pass, and took it in for 6, and we prevailed.
Going back to the preparation for that SEC championship game, Derrick, what was it like from a mindset of a player? Because the addition of, having to play an extra game and the chance of losing that game, if Alabama loses that game, we may not be talking about more SEC championships, but we may not be talking about the SEC championship game. But what was it like for that as a player to hear that you're going to have to play an extra game was starting in 92?
Our team were a bunch of competitors. And we were embarrassed the year before at Florida. So we were chomping at the bit to play Florida. We didn't care. Matter of fact, we welcomed that open game. It gave us an opportunity to vindicate that loss that we had. And so we look forward to it, the guys that were there. We weren't thinking about losing a game. That was the furthest thought of in our mind. Until it got kind of close there at the end, but we wanted Florida. We wanted that revenge, and the coaches were talking about, don't go out there and play Alabama football. Don't think about last year. But as a competitor, you can't help but to think the behind whooping they put on us the year before.
Derrick, what made that team chemistry so well? Because it was unique in 1992. That team was just close as a brotherhood and a fraternity.
Yeah, and I tell people that to this day. We were considered one of the worst freshman class in Alabama history for many reasons. I won't get into those. And it brought us closer to one another. We heard the rumbling about, these guys that they stay in trouble and, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing academically and, how talented are they really? So, we wanted to go out there and prove to everybody that we were worthy of wearing that Alabama crimson jersey. So, we kind of bonded together and kind of at the end of the junior year, the seniors got together and we said, hey, this is our opportunity to make history. A lot of people doubted us. Now we can show. Now we have to lead the younger kids and they have to buy into what Coach Stallings wants us to do, but we have to be the coaches off the field and lead the guys.
Derrick, how much did the 1992 defense improve what you guys were doing offensively when you went against that team every day in practice? Saturday was like a break, man.
Well, we were up in the nation. I don't know where we were rushing in the nation. I believe we were in the top 3. And that's how they improved us. We were one of the best rushing teams in the country, and they led the nation in mostly every category, especially shutting down the run. So running against those guys during the week, even though a lot of the times we ran against the twos, it prepared us because our twos were just as good as many of the ones that we faced.
Derrick, when you look back and you listen to Coach Stallings, because we talk to him every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and just that voice and the way that he talks, I mean, it's the hardest interview I do all week long is 5 o'clock Wednesday because, I feel like sometimes like a running back, man, sometimes I fumble a question. Man, it's like, he didn't give you a break. But looking back at Coach Stallings, is there a memory that just stands out above the rest with him and just your relationship with him?
No, Coach Stallings wanted us to be men and wanted us to be accountable. So he would always, during pregame or the night before a game, you'd have to be on your P's and Q's and really know the game plan, because he would ask you, hey, it's 3rd down and 4. You know, we're at the X, Y, and Z yard line. Give me one of 3 plays we would run, Derrick, and why. So you had to understand the game plan. He didn't want you to just go out there and play and be an ass. He wanted you to understand why we were doing what we were doing. You know, and not only on the field, he wanted us to do that off the field. Coach, the one thing he preached constantly, he's like, if I can tell you nothing, listen to this. As he would say, pitch your antennas up to this. You get you a meaningful degree, because football is not going to be here forever. And the better you perform in the classroom, the better you'll perform on that football field. There's parallels. And that's something that I took to heart, and, you know, it helped me get through school and get my education. And, you know, I had a short career in the NFL due to injuries, but I was able to, you know, be successful in the professional realm because I did get my education.
Hey, Derrick, give us an update, because I know what you're doing, but give the details of what you're up to these days.
Well, yeah, I'm in the medical sales, pharmaceutical industry here in the Atlanta area.
Derrick, let me go back, and we're talking right now with that 1992 Sugar Bowl MVP. He added 2 touchdowns and was able to be a part of that 34-13 Miami game. Let me go back to that game, because Martin Houston's part of our lineup here, does a morning show each morning starting at Tide, and he sets in for me a lot in the afternoon. And we were always talking about Miami and the smack talk that you guys heard throughout the week. And you guys sort of quietly just handled business throughout the week, and it came to the game, and it was more of a business meeting rather than a smack talk. Talk about the talk leading up to that game there in New Orleans.
Well, you know, for the most part, the upperclassmen kept their cool, and it was a business-like trip. But we had a couple underclassmen, i.e. Roosevelt Patterson, get into a verbal altercation there on Bourbon Street. You know, and to know Roosevelt, you know, he's a very passionate person, and he doesn't take kindly to being disrespected. None of us do, you know, but some of us know how to hold that back and take it out on them when game day came. And, you know, so Roosevelt lost his cool a little bit, but we heard all the talk and all the grumbling, how they were going to beat us. No one in the nation except our fan base picked us to win, and if you would ask them, a lot of them had doubt. This is the great Miami Hurricanes, you know. They were pretty much handling teams. They were playing some of the best football there towards the end of the year, and it was a tough task. It was a daunting task, but we were up to it. You know, we believed in ourselves, and as Coach Stallings said something like this during the pregame, hey, man, they talked about everybody, including your mama. Now, if they said something about my mama, I'd go out there and do something about it. And that's all he had to tell us. We went out there and we took care of business.
Let me ask you, when you look back at that defense performance and looking at it from an offensive perspective with Bill Oliver and Coach Stallings and all those guys that lined up, and you know, he put 11 guys on the line of scrimmage. He confused Gino Torretta. I mean, did you ever just stand up and maybe, you know, I know the offensive guys sort of meet back here and they discuss their game plan. I mean, did you ever just go up and you had to sort of get a peek at what those defensive masterminds were trying to do?
You know, to be honest with you, I usually took a knee up on the front of the field so I could see. We'd go and schematically see what the defense was doing against us offensively and kind of get a game plan to what we were going to do. But once the coaches finished with us, I would always go and take a knee or stand on the sideline to watch the defense, because they were so impressive the way they flew around to the ball. I mean, there was no room for error when you played against that 92 team. And people ask me all the time, what about this team versus that team? What about this team? Hey, I'll put that 92 team against any Alabama defense ever. That was one of the greatest defenses I've ever seen.
Derrick Lassic right now, the MVP of that 1993 Sugar Bowl game, the national champ winning University of Alabama. And Derrick, I believe I'm right on this. I think you and I have talked about this before, but you won a championship at every level, right? I mean, college, NFL, and high school.
Isn't God good? He sure blessed me. He put me on some pretty good teams. So, yeah, I won one at high school, college, and professional. So I've been blessed.
Could you imagine, and I'm going to tie it to current day, when Nick Saban, how much sense of pride do you have in what's going on? I know you're proud of every Alabama team, but this dynasty that Alabama's in the midst of, help me understand, being a alumnus of this program, of the sense of pride that you have right now for what's going on here in Tuscaloosa.
We respect everything that they're doing, and we have a lot of pride because, we consider ourselves family. If you put on that crimson jersey, you're family. So we're very proud of what they're doing. And I was on a panel during the national championship with a character by the name of Paul Feinbaum, and he said something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And he kind of discredited what we did in '92. It had been years. When was the last time we won a national championship before then?
It was 1992, and then 79 would have been the one.
79.
Yeah.
So it had been a while before we won a championship when we won ours, and he kind of tried to discredit, what we did, and that's something that, we have pride in, and we're going to defend what we did to anybody. And he kind of made me mad, but we do know, and no disrespect to the teams of this day, we love the fact that they're successful and they're winning national championships, and they do it in a great manner. They go out there in their business night. They're not showboaty, you know what I mean? And they play solid defense like all other Alabama championship teams have. They have a dynamic running game, great coaching. So we're very proud. I am, and I can speak for the former players. Some of us get together here in Atlanta at my house and watch some of the games. Well, yeah, we watch the games. I won't miss a game. My wife will tell you.
Hey, Derrick, I'm just curious. When I say 25th anniversary coming up, and Coach Stallings told us a couple of weeks ago, I think it's the Arkansas game. Maybe I'm wrong about that game, but I know it's one of the games they're going to honor the 25th anniversary of that championship team. 25 years ago. It just seems like just a few years ago, but 25th anniversary of that championship team.
Yeah, it's going to be the Arkansas weekend, and yeah, time flies. I was talking to one of my friends. I said, man, I'm 47 years old. Where did time go? So, you always hear your elders telling you appreciate time, enjoy every moment, because before you know it, you'll be 50, 55 with kids in college, and it just really flies. So I would tell everybody to enjoy life as it comes, because the next thing you know, it'll be 25 years and you'll be 50 years old looking at those kids like, man, I used to be able to do that.
When does it hit you that you're a national champ? I know in 92, but going back to that 1992 team, you talked about the Florida game. We've talked about the Miami game. Is there another one that sticks out when you talk about just a game that you remember a lot about?
Yeah, that Mississippi State game. Ooh-wee. Now that game, I think we had to block a punt to win it down there in Starkville. They always played us tough, because a lot of those guys were from the state of Alabama. And for one reason or another, they didn't get an offer or a scholarship to Alabama, so they wanted to show the University of Alabama that they were more than capable of wearing that Alabama crimson shirt.
Derrick, I'm just curious what you see in Bo Scarborough as a former tailback here at Alabama.
Man, he's a load. I was there at the Clemson game, and they didn't want to tackle him. Unfortunately, he got hurt. It's funny. He doesn't remind me of running style wise, but injury wise, because I kept getting injured. Then I finally was able to stay healthy my senior year, and I hope that happens to him, because he's an incredible talent. I mean, he has the explosiveness, the power. I think he has a little more wiggle than Derrick Henry had, and just as much speed. So I look forward to him having a full and healthy season. If he does, it's going to be a problem for those teams that he faces.
You know, you think about the depth at running back here. All you guys want the football. There's no doubt about it. But when you've got 5 backs in the backfield that are, 5 stars, most of them. Josh Jacobs is a 3-star, and look what he was able to do last year. Really showed up and showed out, and was a leader in the clubhouse as well. But how do you handle that when everybody wants the football, but there's only one?
Well, it's competitive, and we were close. Knit of running backs, me, Chris Anderson, and Sherman Williams. Sherman has done tremendous things since he's gotten out and has written a book, and he used to always say to me, "Don't get hurt, Lassic. Don't get hurt." So the next guy's waiting, so you go out there and you do your best while you're out there, and then when they get an opportunity, you're cheering those guys on. It makes you better as a player and as a person.
Derrick, but when you look at it as far as limiting carries, some backs need a number of carries to sort of get in rhythm. Does that you try to calculate that? I mean, were you one of those guys that needed, some extra carries to sort of get in rhythm?
I was one of those old school running backs, and it's a little It was a little different back then than it is today. We ran the ball a lot more. So as a back, we were mentally mentally prepared to have more carries, and the more carries we got, the more we got into the game. These guys know it's more of a wide open game, and they may only get 12 touches in a game, and that's the norm today. On the back end, if they make it to that next level, they have less wear and tear on their body. So I can see the pluses for the younger kids, whereas for our older guys, it would have been a minus because we were so used to having those 20 to 22 carries a game.
No doubt. Hey, Derrick, thanks again for helping us honor that 1992 team. We're going to do it all week long here on The Game and just go back and pay tribute to that team. We'll look forward to celebrating in the 25th anniversary coming up this year and paying respect to that 1992 team. Thank you again for helping us out here in T-Town.
Well, thanks for remembering me and asking me to do this. I really appreciate it. It's always an honor to come out and speak with you guys and speak about Alabama football. So roll Tide, and I appreciate you guys inviting me.